Hello, CSCW people. My name is Ananya Bhattacharjee, and I'm going to talk about our paper. I kind of bounce off it, translating mental health principles into real life through story-based text messages. Adopting new psychological strategies to improve mental wellness can be challenging because often people can't visualize how a strategy might apply to their lives. They don't have the bandwidth to translate a generic advice to an action in the context of their lives. Now, narrative interventions can offer some solutions here. Narrative interventions can help normalize difficult experiences and illustrate a road to recovery. They can inspire audiences to apply the same approaches in their own lives and can promote self-reflection by giving people the opportunity to draw parallels between story characters and themselves. We posit that showing specific examples of other people adopting a strategy in the form of stories can motivate users to apply the strategy in their own life. We investigated how stories can be delivered using text messages. We focused on text messaging because this is one of the most accessible services to a wide range of people, and many past works have leveraged text messaging services to help people manage psychological well-being. Our work was motivated by 3 research questions, but in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the first 2. Firstly, what features of story-based text messages related to the content and format can motivate people to apply mental health lessons into their lives? And we investigate this problem by designing stories on management of cognitive distortions. Secondly, what design tensions might arise when story-based text messages for promoting mental health are deployed in real life? We focused our investigation on the young adults between 18 to 25 years old. We had 2 sources of participants. Firstly, young adults who demonstrated elevated symptoms of depression and or anxiety. These participants were facilitated by Mental Health America, a non-profit organization. And secondly, we also recruited students from University of Toronto. Our formative study consisted of individual interviews and focus group discussions where we asked people about their expectations, their needs, and what design elements they would like to see in story-based text messages. Firstly, people said that they wanted stories to convey authenticity. As one person said that they liked hearing other people's stories and what they did, and it kind of helped them feel a little better. And eventually, seeing other people's stories motivated them to try new things that the story characters were doing. For our subsequent deployment study, this meant we created stories from research team members' real-world scenarios. We explicitly indicated the fact that the stories are real, and we included enough details about the characters and situations to paint a concrete image in reader's mind. Secondly, participants opted for a one-sentence takeaway of the story so that they don't have to use their cognitive energy to interpret the stories. So this meant we added an explicit takeaway message inspired by Aesop's fables. This could look like this person experienced a thinking trap of overgeneralization or fortune telling or all or nothing thinking. Participants also wanted to have active participation with the story. They said that they should not be involved as a passive reader. So this meant we added 2 questions that required users' responses. We added a relatability prompt and we added a reflection prompt. The reflection prompt required participants to provide an open-ended response. We also got diverse feedback on message format and length. Longer stories were expected to provide more context, detailed explanations, and clear examples. However, they could also be overwhelming by filling out the whole screen space. Participants also wanted the option to customize the stories, but they were also worried that too much user involvement could be perceived as demanding. So this meant we experimented with 2 message formats with varying lengths in the deployment study. Our message formats were of 2 types. Firstly, the upfront choice format, where we started by asking whether the user would like to get a story. And if they replied yes, we showed them a potential story topic. And if they consented to it, then we started the story. In the start and switch out format, we gave them less control. We first provided a teaser of the story, and then we gave them the option whether they would like to hear more or about the story they got or switch to a different story. We also experimented with message lengths. We had a long version of the story on overgeneralization that consisted of 5 messages. We had a short version of the same story that consisted of 3 messages. 42 participants received 1 or 2 stories during the deployment, and 20 participants gave follow-up interviews. In terms of quantitative engagement, we saw that participants indicated moderate to high engagement across all formats. This ranged from 100% to 35%. However, due to low sample size, we do not rely on the quantitative findings to claim superiority of one format over other. We also received qualitative feedback on design elements and story format, which confirmed and extended many of our formative study findings. However, we saw that people were divided in their opinion regarding takeaway messages. Some people wanted to have more open interpretation, and that's why they did not like the takeaway message. Active participation could be difficult sometimes because mobile phones do not offer much flexibility in terms of typing and editing. And also, teasing a negative setup for the story through start and switch out format could provide incorrect perception about a story because the initial messages consisted of description of people's sufferings. So our work made key contributions by answering the research questions we proposed at the beginning. In terms of design elements, we saw that people appreciated authenticity, concrete takeaways, active participation of readers. We also revealed some design tensions, for example, the need for details versus overwhelm, or active user participation versus inflexible default messaging interface. Our work also provides opportunities for future work. We saw that there are conflicting opinions regarding design elements, so they could be personalized. The text message applications should be redesigned and rethought for longer exchanges so that people can have more flexibility in typing and editing. And for large-scale deployments, we can involve crowd workers on the design elements so that they can form and review their own stories. Thanks for your attention.